Hey everyone, we've got a couple more shots to look at today. This first one from Michal. This is an iteration of one we gave notes on before, but this is his newest, and I think it's looking great. I think last time the notes were to sort of wrap the light a little bit more around the character to get some softer shaping, as well as you replaced the background and you made some updates to the interior lighting, which I think look really good. You mentioned, uh, changing it to a warmer sort of interior feel because of what the animator wanted, which I think is, an important consideration. Um, in that, when you're in production, you are lighting for the movie, you're lighting for the TV show or whatever it is, and you want to take their intent into consideration as well. Um, so just an important thing to keep in mind, and I think it's good that you're adjusting for that. Um, so you mentioned that you thought maybe it's a little bit too bright still. I do agree with that. I think she's still looking a little bit too bright. You know, a little bit unmotivated by this lamp back here. Um, which is to say, I think light motivation is important, but I brought this example here. Um, I mean, I think he's like, they're kind of using this lamp as motivation for his lighting on the left side, it feels like, but, there's no way, right? So I think just trying to make anything could be off screen over there. I think just um, trying to generally have motivation for your light direction is important, and I think that you're doing a good job here. I think it's just maybe a little bit too bright for the situation, especially for indoor light competing against, even if it's nighttime outdoor lights. I think this feels a little bit bright to me. Um, I did a bit of a paint over here. I think, you know, taking it down, and also one thing I did was take her fill side down a little bit. I think it's really great what you did with the wrapping light. I think she's looking much more. Her shape is popping a lot more, and she's looking more appealing here to me. But I think maybe you're losing a little bit of shaping, so I would dim that wrap light around a little bit more. I brought this reference in from ET as well. You can kind of see like this. It's really close to their face, which is why it's so soft. But same idea where it is sort of soft and it falls off, and there's still an area of pretty darks around the edges. And I think you kind of want to maintain that a little bit more than what you have. She looks quite filled in here, so taking down that wrap light, I think will sort of allow her to dip into darkness a little bit more, similar to the way her body is doing over here. So, I think there's some room for you to play around, but in terms of brightness, but I think, this is kind of where I landed on the paint over. One other thing I did on the paint over was, to me, in your original, which is this one, she was feeling a little bit green, her skin. Like I felt a little bit of greenness in the highlights here. And I think it's sort of getting away a little bit from an appealing skin tone. Just in terms of, I think generally we want to lean a little bit warmer. So I did warm her up a bit. It can be probably difficult to tell over YouTube, but you can see, she just looks a little bit more lively, just taking a little bit of green out of the light. And hopefully, this sort of gets you that interior soft lighting, warm lighting that you're looking for here. Another thing I did that was, I'm going back and forth on. I think honestly either way works. I did dim the outside just a little bit, just so it wasn't competing a lot with her face, but I could see justification for for either of these. So, in this case, I think you're fine to leave it or just go with your gut if you want to take that down a little bit. But yeah, I think, you have everything in place. I think your light placement seems pretty good. I think it's more now just about refining that character lighting and, just kind of making the colors a little bit warmer and refining her shaping a little bit more. But yeah, this is looking great. I think you're almost there. This next one's from Chris on the Discord. This is his first render, which is pretty crazy. I think it looks really good for the first time doing this. I love the idea of this. I love, the red eyes in the background and the lightsabers here and how they're playing off of the skin. I think you've achieved like a really good, cool mood. And I think your color choices, I think, feel very stylized, but in good taste, I think. So, I did do a couple things to try and see what we can do to the image to plus it a little bit more. My first instinct, I think, looking at this is that the fog or the atmosphere is too strong. I think it's really milking out the image. So everything except for her is kind of like almost one value of gray. So the first thing I did was just darken, increase contrast. It'll look better when you do it for real in render, when you actually push that volume back or, make it less dense. But I think this immediately, gets a little bit more drama and more of a graphic read into the image. You can see, if I do this really small, like I like to do, this versus this, I think, you get a lot more depth into the image. And also, you get this nice silhouette, and you might be able to push this even further, but you get this nice silhouette of this kind of supposedly, I'm assuming, evil character. The dark against the bright fog, I think it's very dramatic. So you have it here kind of, but I think it can be pushed further by increasing contrast and reducing that fog a little bit, getting more contrast into especially, the corners of the frame and stuff that's close to the camera. Because you already have a decent amount of contrast on her. I think it's just about pushing that fog back and getting it on some of the environment as well. I think your choices here for the environment lighting are nice. I think, this feels really cool. I think the way you lit the fog back here. I did kind of zero in on a couple things on the character that maybe you'd want to consider is, first of all, I think this blue dot, I'm not sure exactly where it's coming from, but it does catch my eye right away. Seems a little bit unmotivated by anything in the scene, so it's probably an easy one to kind of just take out. The other thing is these really bright white hits. I don't mind the idea of this. I like the idea of this getting quite bright. It's showing how reflective her armband is for the lightsaber, but this angle of brightness from these speck highlights, it almost indicates to me that it's reflecting something that's, behind the camera or, outside of frame next to camera. And it feels a little bit artificial, especially with how warm all of the other lights are here. It's almost like, someone has their phone light on or took a flash photo at the same time as this image or something. And that kind of might help you integrate this a little bit more. I feel like maybe this is part of her hair is coming from the same light that you can probably lose. I think the cool thing about this pose you chose and like the placement of the character is that she does kind of mass into a dark shape, which I think is a fine thing to happen. But you just want to watch things that pull your eye in this shape. Um, the last thing I think that I wanted to talk about was just a little bit about how her skin is reflecting this purple lightsaber. I think with darker skin, it's really good to have this reflection. I think a lot of shaping on darker skin comes from reflection and not as much from diffuse lighting, which, I think a lot of people have been getting better at cinematography wise in live action and in animation recently. But it is something to pay attention to, and I think you've done pretty well here with shaping her through reflected light. I think this ear looks really cool here. I do think like maybe her skin, especially on her arm here, feels a little bit too shiny and not enough breakup on it. And what I mean by that is, you can see this is an image from Spring Breakers, where you're getting these kind of reflections of what I assume is like a pretty sharp neon sort of fixture up here, judging by the reflection on his nose and his lips. But the breakup on the skin, I think, helps it sort of sit a little bit better, and so it doesn't look like rubber. I think her arm especially is starting to look like she's wearing like a rubber suit a little bit, and on her cheek as well. I think just a little bit more breakup on the specular there will really help you with that read. Same thing here, I think Lupita has a similar skin tone to what it seems like you're going for. And even here, when she's very sweaty, there's a lot more breakup and micro breakup on the spec, which I think helps sell it as skin more so than this very smooth sort of reflection on yours. This is just the last one that I really like. You can see, there's most of the shaping here is coming from soft sources that are reflecting off of her skin versus illuminating it with diffuse, versus a lighter skin character where you might light them a little bit of a different way, more with diffuse lighting. So that's to say, I think, it seems like your thought process here is really good. I think the way you're deciding to treat this character, I think, is really on the right track. It's just about refining the skin material a little bit to sell it more as skin. But yeah, try that. See what you get. See if you like it. I think your choices so far have been really good. So see if you can reduce that fog and do some adjustments to the character, and from there, if you like it, you can keep going and doing more tweaks, or you can bring it back here and we can take a look at it again. Thank you.